Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Karen McDonald Henning, and I am a professor at the School of Law and the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. I am honored to serve as the Grand Marshal for the commencement ceremony. To begin the 2026 graduation of the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law, please welcome some of our distinguished alumni who lead the Juris Doctor degree candidates, the faculty and administration of the School of Law, the president of the Detroit Mercy Law Alumni Association, the vice presidents, deans, and trustees of the university, the commencement speaker, the dean of the law school, the president of our university, and our honored guests. Please be seated during the academic procession. We remind you that graduation is a formal academic ceremony. The university and the School of Law request that all guests display appropriate respect for our graduates and their graduation ceremony. Please silence all electronic devices. Good afternoon. I'd like to introduce those seated on the platform today. Starting from the far right, members of the Board of Trustees. Father Joseph Douse, S.J., Mr. Michael McNamara, Mr. James Holland, Chair of the Board of Trustees. Next, Reverend Charles Aduki, Vice President for Mission Integration, Professor Pamela Zarkowski, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Donald Taylor, President of University of Detroit Mercy, Professor Nicholas Schreck, Dean of the School of Law, Justice Brian Zara, Michigan Supreme Court, Professor Adam Wright, School of Law. In the second row, starting at the far right, Ms. Monica Barber, Senior Attorney and Corporate Secretary, Dr. Karen Lee, Associate Vice President of Academic Administration, Mr. Dennis Carlesso, Vice President for University Advancement, Mr. Thomas Mansour, Vice President for Finance and Administration, and Ms. Deborah Stiefel, Vice President for Enrollment Management and Student Affairs. I'd now like to invite Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Professor Pamela Zarkowski, to deliver welcoming remarks.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and I am so thrilled to be one of the first to greet you this afternoon on this very exciting celebration of your achievements. I want to welcome you to the commencement ceremony for the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law. We gather today with deep gratitude for the families, friends, and mentors who have supported our graduates through their highest of the high and their most challenging moments, or perhaps the lowest of the low. You have been there through long hours of studying, writing, and preparing, most likely fueled by coffee or something else. And through the times when encouragement, reassurance, and perhaps a little patience was most needed, the support of all of those individuals has made this day possible. We are grateful for what they did for you and how they supported you. At Detroit Mercy, we are shaped by both the Jesuit and Mercy traditions. Together, they call us to seek truth, to act with compassion, and to use our knowledge and skills in service to others, especially those most in need. They remind us that the practice of law is not simply a profession, but a vocation, a calling, grounded in justice, integrity, and respect for the dignity of every person. Today, we celebrate the graduates of both our Juris Doctor program and our dual JD program with the University of Windsor, a partnership that reflects the importance of perspective, collaboration, and commitment to justice that extends beyond borders. And finally, to our graduates, your accomplishments reflect not only your intellect and perseverance, but also your readiness to serve as you move forward. May you carry with you the values that have shaped your education here, and may you always remember those who supported you along the way. Again, my sincere welcome and congratulations to the class of 2026.
Thank you, Provost Zarkowski. We ask the Assembly to please rise for the invocation, which will be offered by the Vice President for Mission Integration, Father Charles Aduki. Please remain standing following the invocation as we invite you to join in singing both the Canadian and United States national anthems. Claire Sawicki, a Detroit Mercy Law alumnus, will lead us. Lyrics will be displayed on the monitors throughout the arena.
Each of our respective faith traditions invite us to be peacemakers. And so in the name of peace we pray, in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good and gracious God, you who has been revealed to us through the variety of languages and faith traditions of members of the Detroit Mercy family. With joy and gratitude, we invoke your name in blessing on the achievements of law school graduates of class of 2026. Bless their families and friends, teachers and mentors, and all who have accompanied them up to this threshold in life, which marks the beginning of a new chapter in their formation journey. We thank you for our donors, community of alumni and alumni, and all who give of themselves and their resources to make the gift of a Detroit Mercy education possible. Creator God, Mother and Father of us all, we hold in our hearts the vulnerable and the innocent victims of violence and conflicts in our world. And so today, as we mission these graduates, anoint them with wisdom and skill so that they become peacemakers, dedicating themselves to addressing root causes of conflicts, poverty, ignorance, and disease. May they continue to be lifelong learners, drawing inspiration from the values of their Detroit Mercy education, bringing their scholarship and acquired skills to bear on the urgent needs of our city, nation, and globe, collaborating for the common good and seeking pathways that lead to integral human development, reconciliation, justice, and peace. Throughout this ceremony, please give us grace and patience so that we may enjoy each other's company, find inspiration in the words of our graduation speakers, and in the festive symbolism and rituals of this graduation ceremony. Oh yes, indeed, we sing a song of joy for the wonder of creation and achievements of graduates of class of 2026. Shalom, Om Shanti, Shalom. In your holy name we pray, amen.
seated. And thank you, Claire. Please welcome the Dean of University of Detroit Mercy School of Law, Nicholas Schreck.
Thank you, that's very kind, and I will not be tipping the band at the end of today's program. But I loved how the students just jumped in and started singing along. That's the type of resolve and smarts that you all have, so thank you for that. Good afternoon, and welcome to the graduation ceremony for Detroit Mercy Law Class of 2026. Again, we're pleased to have with us here today President Donald Taylor and Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs Pamela Zarkowski. We're also joined by members of the President's Council, members of the Board of Trustees, the Law Alumni Association, the Association of Black Law Alumni, and many other distinguished guests. And of course, we are especially pleased to have the families and friends of our graduates with us here today. Law school is challenging, and we know that you all have contributed to the success of our graduates through your support and encouragement, and for that we sincerely thank you. Class of 2026, we are here today to celebrate you. This is a joyful occasion where we honor graduates from our JD and dual JD programs. Getting to this point is no small feat, and I commend you all for your perseverance and achievements. We're gathered at a time of great importance for the legal profession, the independence of the judiciary, and the rule of law. Most of you will soon seek admission to the bar in the United States or Canada. I urge you to remain vigilant and steadfast in upholding the rule of law while engaging in zealous ethical advocacy. We can and should disagree from time to time, but we must respect the rules, use evidence-based arguments, and agree that facts are facts. Those of us privileged to practice law here in Michigan swear or affirm in the first two lines of our lawyer's oath that we will, quote, support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Michigan, and will maintain and respect the respect due to courts of justice and judicial officers. I'm sure you remember citing those words at your law clinic swearing-in ceremony, some of you with Justice Zara just this past year, where you all affirmed the oath to practice under attorney supervision as law clinic students. When I took that oath for the first time as an attorney, it was meaningful and powerful to me, knowing that I was joining a storied profession in a country bound by a constitution. A few months down the road from now, when many of you will swear that same oath, I hope you will pause and reflect on the importance of our Constitution and rule of law. While our laws have never been perfect, and we have collectively agreed to follow a system to amend, change, or pass new laws in adherence to the procedures and guardrails present in our Constitution. This July, the United States will mark 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, approved by the Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776. The second paragraph of the Declaration begins, quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." That sentence remains, at least to me, as one of the most important ever written in the English language. But what are those rights? How are they written? How are they protected? Rights are only as good as the laws that protect them and the regular, equitable application and enforcement of those laws. Who drafts those laws that protects our unalienable rights? Who enforces those laws? Lawyers. Without lawyers, our rights are at risk. Ensuring that those created equal are treated equally under the law is impossible without lawyers. In short, without you all, future lawyers here in this room, there is no democracy. James Madison said of the Declaration of Independence that its, quote, object was to assert, not to discover truth. As future lawyers, I urge you all to not only assert truths, but to discover truths, and to advocate based on facts and evidence. Returning to those who seek admission to the bar here in Michigan, you'll be bound by another part of the lawyer's oath. That states, "I will employ for the purpose of maintaining the causes confided to me such means only as are consistent with truth and honor, and will never seek to mislead the judge or jury by any artifice or false statement of fact or law." As lawyers, we seek truth, we defend rights, we follow the law, and we work to ensure the law's equal application. By the way, lest our dual JD students feel left out in this discussion of the American Declaration of Independence, don't forget that Canada gets a really nice shout out in the Declaration. Included in the indictment against King George III is the line, quote, "For abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies." Now, if you know your history, that right there is an example of Quebec entering the chat. You see, cross-border transnational law has been critical here in North America for over 250 years. And I trust that under the level heads and clear minds of lawyers who intimately understand the US and Canadian legal systems through our dual JD program with Windsor Law, we'll be able to peacefully solve our differences and return to the strong, enduring partnership and friendship that our two countries have long enjoyed. Thank you. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all of us are created equal, that we are all endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's a powerful value statement, and along with the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, are good organizing principles for the practice of law as well as for being good citizens. I'm excited to see where you all, as complete ethical lawyers, will lead us for the next 20, 50, and 250 years, where the decisions that you make as lawyers, judges, and legislators will echo through the ages. While today we celebrate your laudable achievements, it's time for many of you to focus on the next step, which is licensure. The good news is, we know the steps that are needed to pass the bar exam. Follow our Power of One program. Complete your bar review vendor assignments. Do those thousands of multiple choice problems and the practice essay problems, and meet with your faculty bar mentor. Licensure takes work. It's hard, but you can do it. Follow the Power of One program, meet the benchmarks, and you will put yourself in a great position to pass the bar exam and get that license to practice law. You have many days of studying ahead of you, but you can do it. This is where we need the help and support of all your friends and family once more. Supporters of our graduates here today, note they aren't done yet. Please be there for our graduates as they embark on this next part of the journey. Graduates, you have the tools. Now you need to put in the time and effort to get that bar card. It truly has been my pleasure to serve as your dean. You've continuously made me proud, from academic excellence to success in moot court competitions around the country, to bringing in top scholars for our law review symposium, from countless student organization events and service projects. You contributed so much to our law school and our surrounding community this year and over your 3 years. I hope that when you have a moment to reflect on your time in law school, that you'll see it as a testament to your smarts, energy, perseverance, and abilities. You're not exactly like other attorneys who graduated before you, going all the way back to our first class of students in 1912. And future attorneys will no doubt be different and will have varied experiences compared to your own. You join a long, proud line of alumni and attorneys that have gone through this rite of passage. You're distinguishable from other attorneys in the US and Canada because of where and how you've been educated. At Detroit Mercy Law, we educate the complete lawyer. And as you leave us now and begin your career as complete lawyers, you've accrued legal knowledge, honed analytical skills, you've represented real clients, you've drafted memos, and you've passed exams. You've learned about the law's weaknesses and its promise. Reflecting on your education up to this point, it's important to remember that you have acquired the tools to bend that arc of history towards justice. As complete lawyers, you are equipped to solve problems, create fair systems, protect rights, and treat others as you would want to be treated. You've learned from the Jesuits and Sisters of Mercy to care for each other and for yourselves, including care for the excluded and outcasts of our world, care for our planet, our common home. You've learned to listen to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, as the late Jesuit Pope Francis instructed, and you now have the skills and training to respond to that cry. I've witnessed many good, decent, and thoughtful acts from you, our graduates, and I can't wait to watch and cheer for you as you advance justice, serve our profession and community, and continue to make Detroit Mercy Law proud. Best wishes to each of you, and heartfelt congratulations.
Thank you, Dean Schreck. It is now my privilege to present the President of the University of Detroit Mercy, Dr. Donald B. Taylor.
Good afternoon. Students, alumni, faculty, staff, deans, families, friends, and honored guests. Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Pamela Zarkowski, distinguished trustees, Good afternoon, and welcome to the 2026 Commencement exercises at the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law. It is truly my honor to present to you the class of 2026. Congratulations. I want to take this moment to honor those of you joining us today, whether in person or virtually, in this great celebration. As every member of the class of 2026 knows, the road to this special day has not been traveled alone. The support of family and friends and others has been invaluable in helping the graduates achieve this dream. At this time, I ask family, friends, staff, faculty, and anyone else who has played a role in supporting these titans from our law school, please stand so we can recognize your efforts. Family, faculty, staff, please stand and be recognized. Also, a special welcome and shout out to all the mothers attending who will be celebrating a very special Mother's Day on Sunday this commencement weekend. Thank you, mothers, for all you do. I also want to recognize members of the class of 2026 who, like myself, happen to be a first-generation college student, which I believe is being the red scrolls that you actually have. If you are a first-generation college student and now you're graduating from law school, please stand and be recognized. What an achievement. Many of us up on the stage, including myself, know your story. We were once in your place. I happen to be the first person in my family to even attend college, let alone graduate. You're an example for others in your family, your community, to follow the path of education, because you never know where it might take you or whether you might lead others. Be proud of this achievement and give back by helping others understand what this accomplishment can mean for them. To the members of the graduating class, you come from across the world and down the street. They reflect the diversity of our local communities, our world, and you've brought a range of perspectives and experiences that has enriched the ways that we live and that we learn together. We are proud of the many different backgrounds, cultures, and faith traditions that are represented in our graduating class. Students, your presence has made a difference on campus, and we've all learned from each other in very important ways. You're not the same person today that you were when you first stepped on the law school down at Jefferson. And the campus has changed because you were here and you made it happen. Our mission says we integrate the intellectual, the spiritual, the ethical, and the social development of our students. We see that in so many of you. You've weathered tough classes, demanding professors, stress of balancing work and life and class, but you didn't let any of that deter you from your goal. Indeed, I know some of you have suffered losses that have changed your life in the last few years, but you fought and you studied and you worked and you learned, and you're leaving the institution a fuller person, a stronger person, one who knows what you want and how to get it. The charisms of our founding religious sponsors, the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, and the Religious Sisters of Mercy fit beautifully together because St. Ignatius and Venerable Catherine Macaulay, who lived centuries apart, different parts of the world, they both understood the value of learning and of God's place in the world. So graduates, as you embark on this next phase of your journey, know that you carry the fire of the Jesuits and the light of the Mercy Sisters to illuminate your world. You have a resilience based on our sponsors' ideals that will get you through anything that comes your way. If the events, both small and large, of the last few years have taught you anything, it's that you know that you can rise to a challenge. We see you doing it every day on campus down in the Jefferson community, and we know that you will be able to do it in your career. Now it's time for you to shine. While this celebration is the culmination of years of hard work, it's more importantly a beginning. Whether you're starting a career as a lawyer or you're using your law degree for a different career, it is a magical time for each and every one of you today. Each of you is on the verge of your future. Each of you is empowered with the tools for success. Your possibilities are endless, but so are the challenges. So I ask you of one thing: remember that you are a Titan and that the world needs Titans. And graduates, my final message to you is one that I leave with every graduating class, and it comes from that great philosopher, Mr. Spock from Star Trek. May you live long and prosper. Godspeed, and go Titans.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. It is now my pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, the Honorable Justice Brian K. Zara. Justice Brian K. Zara was appointed by Governor Rick Snyder to the Michigan Supreme Court on January 14, 2011. The people of Michigan have since re-elected him for multiple Supreme Court terms. Justice Zara received his undergraduate degree in 1984 from Wayne State University. To finance his education, he opened and operated a small health and personal care retail store in downtown Detroit. Justice Zara later opened a grocery outlet, also in Detroit, with two partners. In 1987, he graduated with honors from the University of Detroit School of Law, where he served as a member of the Law Review and as articles editor of the State Bar of Michigan's Corporation and Finance Business Law Journal. Upon graduation from law school, he served as law clerk to Judge Lawrence P. Zatkoff of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan, before joining and eventually becoming a partner in the law firm of Dickinson, Wright, Moon, Van Dusen, and Freeman. In 1994, Governor John Engler appointed him to the Wayne County Circuit Court, where in 1996 he was elected to a 6-year term. In December of 1998, he was appointed to the Michigan Court of Appeals by Governor Engler. He was elected to a 6-year terms in 2000 and 2006, and from December 2005 to January of 2007, he served as a Court of Appeals Chief Judge Pro Tem. Justice Zara has served on many professional and legislative committees, including the Michigan Civil Jury Instructions Committee, the Circuit Court Appellate Rules Committee, the Domestic Violence Legislation Implementation Task Force, and the Advisory Committee for the Michigan Judicial Institute for Domestic Violence Bench Book. Justice Zara has also served on the Michigan Board of Law Examiners, so sorry students, if you have problems with the bar exam, talk to Justice Zara. Michigan Board of Law Examiners, which drafts and grades the examination that law school graduates must pass in order to become licensed attorneys. In 2021, Justice Zara was appointed chair of the Justice for All Commission, which is a diverse group of state leaders and access to justice advocates. This commission is working to substantially improve access to the civil justice system. He also serves as a Supreme Court's liaison to Michigan business courts, which currently operate within 17 circuit courts in the state of Michigan. Justice Zara taught as a senior fellow of law and public policy at the University of Michigan Dearborn campus, and is currently a distinguished fellow at Hillsdale College in Hillsdale, Michigan. He previously served on the adjunct faculty at Detroit Mercy Law and at Michigan State University School of Law. Justice Zara has been active in many civic and charitable organizations, including the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southeastern Michigan, Kiwanis Club International, Leadership Detroit, the Knights of Columbus, the Maltese American Community Club, and the Maltese American Benevolent Society, of which he's a past officer. He's also a former board member and officer of the Catholic Lawyers Society and past officer of the Federalist Society, where he currently serves as a member of the advisory board to the Michigan chapter. He also serves as a judicial advisor to the Hillsdale College Federalist Society chapter. Justice Zara continues to generously volunteer his time and expertise to Detroit Mercy Law. He served on our Dean's Advisory Board for several years, and I am personally very grateful for his advice and continued support of our fine institution. Please join me in welcoming Justice Brian Zara.
President Taylor, Dean Schreck, Provost Zarkowski, members of the Board of Commissioners, faculty, graduates, family, and friends, thank you for inviting me to deliver this year's commencement address. To be frank, though, my acceptance to speak today was conveyed in a moment of personal weakness. I thought back to my own law school graduation from this same university 39 years ago. The commencement address was delivered by Sixth Circuit Judge Cornelia Kennedy. Judge Kennedy, may she rest in peace, was a wonderful jurist. She was the first woman named to serve on the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan, and the first woman in the United States to ever serve as chief judge of a district court. She influenced me greatly through her legal writing, which was clear, and her legal reasoning, which was exceptionally powerful. But to be frank, I was not moved by Judge Kennedy's commencement address, as I cannot remember a word she said. The only memory I have is that she spoke for more than 30 minutes, which struck me as a bit long. So I promise not to leave you with that memory. I'm skeptical about commencement addresses. The stated purpose of such address is to inspire graduates as they leave academia and enter the real world. I do not consider myself to be an inspirational person. I have no followers on X. I do not use Instagram. I do have friends on Facebook, but I know all of them. And I don't travel the nation to post one-bite pizza reviews on social media, although I would take that job if Dave Portnoy offered it to me. Given my thoughts on commencement addresses, you might ask, why am I here today? A foundational and first principle of medical ethics is that a physician shall do no harm. Upon reflection, it occurred to me that in the 400-plus year history of commencement addresses, there is no record of a commencement speaker bringing harm to the graduates. Thus, while my words might not inspire you, I'm not likely to cause any irreparable harm. And while I'm not wildly inspirational, I do know a bit about being a lawyer and being a judge, and I do want to pass on, I did not want to pass on the opportunity to share with you some of my thoughts on how to approach your career during a time of great change in our industry. So I accepted this invitation to speak. And who knows, over and above doing no harm, I might just offer a memorable tidbit of wisdom. So, to be serious and reflective. Sadly, I have heard it from many seasoned lawyers in Michigan that they would not want to be a law school graduate today. And as someone who has had an exceedingly positive outlook on our profession, and someone who has been blessed with a rewarding and meaningful career, I needed to know, why not? The answers I receive are uniform. Lawyers fear the rapid integration of technology into the practice of law, specifically artificial intelligence, which many believe will displace vast numbers of lawyers and radically change our profession. Every generation of lawyers believes it stands at a moment of unprecedented change. Usually, with the benefit of hindsight, that belief is proven to be wildly inaccurate. But this time, the claim that the class of 2026 stands at a moment of unprecedented change deserves very serious contemplation. Artificial intelligence does not merely change how law is practiced, it changes the ground rules about who or what can reason, decide, and express opinions on potential outcomes in legal proceedings and ventures. For centuries, the lawyer's value rested in mastery of certain skills, the mastery of legal doctrine and precedent, the mastery of language, reasoning, and written word. Lawyers have for hundreds of years been trained to find the needle in the haystack of case law, to synthesize that case law and to analyze it and to persuasively present it in support of your client's needs. But for the law school class of 2026, something profound has changed. The haystack is no longer a constraint. Computers can read volumes of cases in a matter of seconds and with greater comprehension than any human being. And it does not stop there. Artificial intelligence can now draft memos, summarize precedent, predict outcomes, and even generate opinions and arguments that, at first glance, look indistinguishable from your own. Personally, I was astonished when my law clerks asked ChatGPT to generate a Zara dissent to a majority opinion, finding the trial court did not properly implement Michigan's sentencing guidelines. An opinion was produced in a few minutes, and it sounded just like me. Frankly, it was a bit scary. In this age of artificial intelligence, it's fair to confront the fear expressed by many Michigan lawyers. With the proliferation of artificial intelligence, what becomes of the lawyer? The answer to this question lies not in what artificial intelligence can do, but in what it cannot be trusted to do. Imagine for a moment a conversation you may soon have. You are a junior associate. A client sits across from you, smart, skeptical, aware of the technology tools now available to you. The client says, "Counselor, I understand you used an artificial intelligence system to research my case." You respond very carefully. Yes, it helped to review relevant precedent and identify key arguments. The client pauses and then asks the question that you fear. Is AI right? The client is not interested in whether the AI review was fast and efficient. The client is not interested in whether AI saved on legal fees for research traditionally done by a lawyer. The client only wants to know one thing. Did AI nail it with regard to the client's legal issues? And in that moment, there is no deflection available to you. You cannot say the system suggested it. You cannot say that's what the model produced. And you cannot use the old line, everyone is using it. The client did not hire a machine. The client hired you. So what does it mean in a new world? To answer the question, is AI right? It means you must do what lawyers have done, but with much sharper clarity. You must interrogate the output. You must understand not just the conclusion, but the reasoning behind it. You must be able to recognize when something is persuasive, but not convincing, authoritative, but fabricated, confident, but incomplete. And perhaps most importantly, you must know when not to trust the powerful tool that has been placed in front of you. From the perspective of the consumer of legal services, AI will dramatically change the mechanics of lawyering in a very positive way. AI will reduce the time spent on drafting legal briefs and pleadings. AI will compress research cycles. AI will dramatically change the economic models of law firms. But AI will not change the allocation of responsibility. If anything, AI will intensify it. Because when powerful tools are placed in human hands, the law does not shift accountability to the tool. The law sharpens the focus on the human element, on you as the lawyer. Early in my career, when I learned how to lawyer and I established myself in my law firm, I did so under a system that placed a value on what I produced, the memo to the valued client, research provided to a senior partner, or the brief that I wrote and filed in the Michigan Supreme Court. But in an age where production is increasingly automated, Value will be defined by something else: your judgment. And judgment is uniquely human. Judgment is not the ability to generate answers. Judgment is the ability to evaluate answers. Judgment is knowing when two plausible arguments are not equally sound. Judgment is recognizing when a precedent applies in form, but may be distinguishable in substance. Judgment is understanding how law operates not just as logic, but as an institution embedded in human consequences. Judgment is the ability to assess how a key fact witness will hold up under cross-examination, and whether your client will connect with the jury when seated at counsel's table and when put on the witness stand. No machine, no matter how advanced, bears the burden of judgment. You do. There's also an ethical dimension to this moment. AI systems are trained on data, historical data, and history, as you know, is not neutral. The historical context that AI consumes reflects the biases, omissions, and embellishments of the historian who recorded it, whoever that may be. If you uncritically accept the outputs of artificial intelligence, you risk encoding some of those distortions into the future of legal decision-making. So your role is not simply to use AI to the benefit for your client, it is also to question the output, to challenge it, to ensure that efficiency does not come at the expense of the pursuit of equal justice under law. Some of you will go to law firms, some go into government, some to public interest work. Some will end up in positions you never imagined feasible when you began your legal career. But wherever you end up, artificial intelligence will play an ever-increasing role in your professional setting. You will encounter pressure to move faster, to do more with less, to rely on systems that promise certainty. Resist the illusion of certainty. The law has never been about certainty. The law has been about reasoned judgment under conditions of uncertainty. That is, and always will be, remain a human function within the human domain. It is a domain that cannot be taken away by a computer. So let me return for a moment to that client who asked, is AI right? If you properly harness and utilize AI, your answer may be as follows. Yes. We used advanced tools to analyze and research your legal issue. We then took the results provided to us, and we tested every conclusion, verified every authority, and exercised independent judgment at every step as it related to the unique facts and circumstances of your case. And based on my independent judgment, I believe the answer provided is sound, and I stand by that advice. Perhaps a more difficult response in the exercise of your sound judgment will lead you to reason or to question the reasoning of the output of the AI system. But as long as you articulate the basis for the exercise of your judgment, you will have the faith and confidence of your client. So please embrace this technology, but do so with a critical eye in the exercise of professional judgment. You must always remain accountable in a world where accountability is increasingly easy to diffuse. You are entering the profession at a critical moment. The rules governing artificial intelligence are not fully written. The norms of its use in legal practice are still evolving. The boundaries of responsibility are being tested in real time. But all this adds up to a very exciting threshold for you. You will not simply adopt or adapt to the future of law. You will define the future of law. And I can think of no more exciting time to be a lawyer than right now. Finally, as you leave today, do not ask whether AI will replace lawyers. Ask instead, what kind of lawyer does this moment require? A lawyer who is faster? Perhaps. A lawyer who's more technical? Probably. But above all, this moment requires lawyers who are capable of critical thinking and the exercise of sound judgment. Judgment that will inspire client trust in a world where answers are plentiful, but truth and trust are not. So as you leave here today, endeavor to be that kind of lawyer. Congratulations, class of 2026. You're ending the profession at an incredibly exciting time. Most certainly, the tools have changed, but the responsibility has not, and the future belongs to you. Good luck.
Justice Zara, on behalf of the Detroit Mercy Law community, thank you for being our commencement speaker for the 2026 graduation. Your words and your service continue to inspire all of us. Thank you, sir. Another round of applause for Justice Zara, please.
Candidates for the Juris Doctor degree, please stand. The candidates are presented by Dean Schreck.
President Taylor, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Law, I present these candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor and respectfully recommend that this degree be conferred upon them.
Candidates, please proceed to the stage as directed by the floor marshals to receive your academic hoods from the faculty and alumni of the School of Law and your scrolls from the president of the university. Candidate names will be read by Professor Adam Wright.
Good afternoon. As I read the names of the candidates, I would like to remind everyone that it is important for each graduate's name to be clearly heard as they cross the stage. Every student matters, and we want each of them to hear their name on this special day as we celebrate their achievements. Thank you for your cooperation. Angela Arabo, cum laude, who will be hooded by Veronica Ibrahim, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Gabriella Aposo, who will be hooded by Professor Michelle Richards, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Haneen Alnashi, cum laude. Zara Al-Mosawi. Jasmine Elkatib, cum laude. Ali El Jabori. Claire Alexander. Zainab Stalin Aldalami, cum laude, who will be hooded by Rachel Croak, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Margaret Brennan, cum laude. Isabella Bauma, magna cum laude. Natalia Bordeaux. Lena Bobo, who will be hooded by Judge Keith, a Detroit Mercy graduate. Hannah Jean Bloomfield, magna cum laude. Zoe Blanchard. Sydney Blanchard, magna cum laude. Haley Bilowski, cum laude. Joseph Berry, magna cum laude. Andrea Berry, cum laude. Julia Cook, summa cum laude. Tori Conklin, who will be hooded by Catherine Kobalak-Rabinecki. Evelina Coleman. Emily Coleman, cum laude. Medina Shaban. Sage Caperton. Kyle Campagna, cum laude. Brendan Berg, cum laude. Zachary Brown, who will be hooded by Kirsten Zawanowitz, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Kyra Brooks, who will be hooded by Judge Terrence Keith, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Lily Dobat. Joseph Denaj, cum laude. George Denaj. Olivia Denstead, magna cum laude. Kennedy DiFrancesco. Kyle Derenku. Ebony Daniels, who will be hooded by Brandon Wilson, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Regina Crump, who will be hooded by Judge Michelle Rick, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Molly Creamy, magna cum laude. Emily Korick, cum laude. John Paul Gorinsky. Flavius Philip, cum laude. Diego Fernandez, who will be hooded by Isaiah Cruz, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Alexis Farmer, magna cum laude, who will be hooded by Judge Terrence Keith, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Mariam Ali Faraj, cum laude. Jacqueline Eifler, magna cum laude. Noah Duncan, cum laude. Michael Droulard. Madison Drake, cum laude. Ben Dolinga, cum laude. McKenna Iodice, magna cum laude. Megan Humphreys. James Huffman, magna cum laude. Christopher Hudeman. Megan Panouche. Nabil Hamka, who will be hooded by Mohammed Beydoun, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Ali Hussein Hamid. Chloe Humama, cum laude, who will be hooded by her mentor, Rita Soker, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Andrew Granda, magna cum laude. Nathan Grui, magna cum laude. Jade Kassab, magna cum laude. Ashley Casper, cum laude. Brandon Carl. Simon Sam Kula, who will be hooded by Fancy Yaldo Hill, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Liliana Yunchai. Jillianne Jones, cum laude, who will be hooded by Judge Michelle Rick, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Brianna Jones, magna cum laude. Alexa Jones. Bianca Ivazai, cum laude. Aya Isa. Madeline Luther, who will be hooded by Rebecca McClear, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Michael Lumley Orchard, cum laude. Isabella Luke, cum laude, who will be hooded by Alan Blatnikoff, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Deanna Laban, who will be hooded by Alexandria J. Taylor, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Michelle Lebos, who will be hooded by Jennifer Ruiz, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Diana Lazar, cum laude. Alexis Krachevsky, cum laude. Aaron Knight. Alexandra Kedjbu, who will be hooded by Rita Soka, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Heather Curie, magna cum laude. Shannon McKenna, magna cum laude. Miriam Mashik. Hannah McDonald, magna cum laude. Elise Mashney, cum laude. Ali Mashur. Madison May Martin. Andrea Maroof, magna cum laude. Haley Miles Marion, magna cum laude. Noor Mansour, cum laude. Andrew Mershazak, magna cum laude. Bailey McKenna Pattinson, magna cum laude, who will be hooded by Laura Deerwa, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Angelina Palushai. Delana Rose Palmer, magna cum laude. Kiera Osborne, who will be hooded by Professor Michelle Richards, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Myrna Nissan, magna cum laude. Ali Nazdu, cum laude. Farah Nasrallah, who will be hooded by Janan Nasrallah, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Samantha Morgan. Harriet Moore, cum laude, who will be hooded by William Sauget, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Sarah Elizabeth Meyer, summa cum laude. Mariah Sammons, who will be hooded by Jen Smith, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Sophia Sam, cum laude. Joseph Saad. Elizabeth Rolsanchin, magna cum laude, who will be hooded by Paul Salyers, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Heather Rooney, magna cum laude. Jacob Roberts, summa cum laude. Zachary Richardson, cum laude. Malena Rahal. Eleanor Pennington. Jasmine Pearson, who will be hooded by Judge Terrence Keith, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Jacob Zerlag, cum laude. Paul Scalisi. Abigail Schaefer, magna cum laude. Okay. Manuel Shumami, magna cum laude, who will be hooded by Judge Rick, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Hi there. Veronica Shake It, summa cum laude. Nicholas Surowski. Tia Smith, who will be hooded by Mecca Muhammad, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Sabrina Soka, magna cum laude, who will be hooded by her mother, Rita Soka, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Jane Stinson. Congratulations, good. Amy Serdou. Congratulations. Long time since one out. Denasia Tate, who will be hooded by Judge Terrence Keith, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Rebecca Elizabeth Tazia, magna cum laude. Janelle Thomas Situ. Joy Thomas. Julian Tenai. Lily Anna Trinity, magna cum laude. Robbie Van Hawagen, cum laude. Osvaldo Vega Hernandez, cum laude. Gabby Vizzacaro, summa cum laude, who will be hooded by Professor Michelle Richards, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Jalen Volkmer. Brianna Walker Taylor, who will be hooded by Judge Macy Gaines, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Jedediah Weinstein, magna cum laude. Aja Williams, who will be hooded by Jessica Holmes, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Allura Williams, who will be hooded by Brandon Wilson, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Andre Williams, magna cum laude. Ian Wilson, cum laude. Tyler Winowicki, magna cum laude. Emma Noel Wood. That's right, you know? Nigel Wright Jr., who will be hooded by Judge Terrence Keith, a University of Detroit Mercy graduate. Jessica Zelasco, magna cum laude. TJ Zoe, cum laude. George Zora. Our final United States JD candidate. Rubayat Amin. Aaron Vespali. Nazabine Benjamin. Misi Biodun Adaiforasen. Mario Batoni, magna cum laude. Helen Breen. Tori Chenye, cum laude. Athena Chukitlong Murray. Paige Donaldson, who will be hooded by Abigail McIntyre, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Muskan Fatima, cum laude. Megan Lorraine Fleming. Harleen Cargill. Redmond Goal, cum laude. Kara Hansen, cum laude. Raneem Huari, cum laude. Tiending Hua, magna cum laude. Sarah Hingun. Peter Joel Hooper, who will be hooded by his sister Megan Hooper, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Rachel, cum laude. Stefania Ilyevska, cum laude. Lyndon Ivozic, cum laude. Janoshin Jaconation, cum laude. Charbel Karoum. Catherine Kinsman, magna cum laude. Amanda Carantz. Manvi Kumar, cum laude, who will be hooded by Judge Michelle Rick, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Maple Kumar. Mitchell Laudeser, cum laude. Juyang Liu, cum laude. Chloe Mastronardi, cum laude. Aaron Menzies, cum laude. Jackson Moore, cum laude, who will be hooded by Michael Desi, a Detroit Mercy Law graduate. Romina Musavi. Jihan Nadim. Nikita Nandisha, cum laude. Evan Nitchoff. Glorious Akpali. Blake Parker, cum laude. Janvi Patel. Teresa Peony. Philip Power, cum laude. Nicholas Priolo. Carlos Rodriguez Lorraine Herrera. Olivia Rondo, cum laude. Ambika Selvaracha, cum laude, who will be hooded by Professor Andrew Moore. Jordan Shear, cum laude. Justin Singh. Aratha Shrivastava. Salman Tariq, cum laude. Karen Tawana, cum laude. Shalisa Ward. Caden Wisnowski, cum laude. Anthony Youssef. Rosanna Zitoli, cum laude. And our final JD candidate from the dual program, Rebecca Zucker, cum laude.
Now that the candidates have been recognized, please remain quiet and respectful as we prepare for the President's conferral of degrees. Candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor, please rise.
By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor, for which you have been recommended, and now pronounce you sons and daughters of the University of Detroit Mercy forever. Congratulations, class of 2026, Law School.
Graduates, please move your tassel from the right to the left side of your cap. And please join us once again in congratulating our graduates. The graduates will please be seated, and the platform party sponsoring institution representatives Board of Trustees, administration staff, and faculty of the university, please rise, face the graduates, and join in yet another round of applause to congratulate the class of 2026. In just a moment, President Taylor will present the Student Mission Leadership Award. The Vivere ex Missione Award, which means to live the mission, is presented to students who go beyond their academic and program requirements to live out the mission of Detroit Mercy. Every year, students and members of the university committee are invited to nominate graduating students who exemplify the mission of the university by demonstrating the following core values: educating the whole person, cultivating a diverse community, embodying mercy and compassion, fostering faith and justice, and serving and leading in Detroit. The recipients of these awards have been vetted through a highly competitive process by the Mission Effectiveness Team with representatives from across all our missions. These students embody what St. Ignatius described as love shown more in deeds than words. A mission lamp is presented to the winner of the Vivier ex Missione Award to honor students who have fulfilled the call of Catherine McCauley, founder of the Sisters of Mercy, who said, "We should be shining lamps, giving light to all around us." Please welcome back to the podium President Taylor.
This year's recipient of the School of Law Vivier ex Missione Award is Allura Marquis Williams. Would you please join me on the platform, Allura? Even before entering Detroit Mercy Law, Allura Williams was immersed in helping the underprivileged find aid for solving legal problems. Her work as a legal assistant during COVID helped people struggling to stay in their homes. She was noted for her compassion and worked long past her assigned hours to connect people to community partners or agencies that could help. Allura has devoted her life from a young age to a strong relationship with God. As a missionary in the Women's Missionary Society, Allura advocates for the health and safety of all people, especially young people. She succeeds because she listens with love and without judgment. She continues this work with the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, where she works to change the narrative from retributive justice to restorative justice. For her work to build communities with Christ at the center and her commitment to building a more just future, the University of Detroit Mercy is proud to present Allura Marquis Williams with this Vivier ex Missione Award. Congratulations, Allura.
Thank you, President Taylor. Each year, the graduating class selects a student to lead the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law graduates in the prayer inspired by St. Thomas More. This year, the class of 2026 has selected Megan Fleming. Graduates, you will find this prayer in the scroll you just received. Please stand.
grant that I may be able in argument, accurate in analysis, strict in study, candid with clients, and honest with adversaries. Sit with me at my desk and listen with me to my clients' plaints. Read with me in my library and stand beside me in court, so that today I shall not, in order to win a point, lose my soul. Amen.
Graduates, please be seated. Each year, the graduating class for both our USJD and dual JD programs select a student to deliver remarks on behalf of their class. First, we will hear from Gabby Vizzacaro, selected by the USJD class of 2026.
Good afternoon, faculty, staff, and members of the Detroit Mercy community. Welcome to family, friends, and loved ones. I am Gabby Vizzacaro, and it is an honor to speak on behalf of the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law, class of 2026. First, I must acknowledge that law school is not a journey traveled alone, nor is it a destination worth reaching without the people who made it possible. I would not be where I am or who I am without the support of my family and friends. Thank you to my parents who encouraged me at every step, and to my fiance Yusuf and my best friend Alana, thank you for believing in me even when I doubted myself. To my classmates, now fellow alumni, to my future colleagues and future opposing counsel, congratulations, we did it. Since interpreting words is now our means of income, I want to address one word that has consumed me these past few years: mercy. What does it mean? What does mercy look like? I posit there is an answer, and it is every lawyer's favorite answer. 2 words, 9 letters, you know it, you love it, it depends. As frustrating as that answer can be, it is actually the most honest thing law school has taught us. I remember our first year introducing ourselves in that classic law school way. Many of you shared that law seemed like the next logical step, or that you wanted to develop skills you already had. I'm not so sure that tells the whole story. Somewhere inside each of us lives the belief, if not me, then who? As lawyers, we will not only discern what is, we will advocate for what ought to be. That is where mercy belongs. It depends on us, on the choices we make, the people we serve, and the causes we pursue. When we're sworn in, we will commit ourselves to zealous advocacy and to upholding the law. When society sees constitutional violations, abuses of power, and objective moral failures play out in real time, it turns to us. That is the weight of this moment. Even that commitment, though, leaves room for mercy. The Michigan Rules of Professional Conduct remind us that, quote, a lawyer may make a good faith argument for an extension, modification, or reversal of existing law. The law is never static. The law's power to change and evolve demands that we wield it responsibly. Because of that power, lawyers have made decisions that caused harm, perpetrated unjust systems, and set back the very people the law is meant to protect. That is the legacy we inherit and the one we have the power to change. I stand here today, a woman with an education in a profession that once would not have had me because of the mercy of those before me. Mercy is not waiting to do everything, it is showing up to do something. Mercy asks us to answer for today and to be accountable to tomorrow. That is mercy, that is what it looks like, and now it depends on us. Congratulations to the class of 2026. I look forward to being an agent of mercy alongside you all. Best of luck to each of you on your next steps. Thank you for your courage, excellence, and mercy.
She's younger than me.
Next, we will hear from Philip Powers, selected by the dual JD class of 2026.
Sorry, apologies. People haven't been using this book. They knew their stuff. There we go. Okay. Sorry. First and foremost, I want to shout out all of our parents, friends, and family members who made the trip to be here with us today. I speak for everyone when I say to all of you, thank you. All of you have supported and sacrificed for us in ways which are immeasurable. And we would not be here today if it were not for you. So please, a warm round of applause for our parents, friends, and family members. I was helping judge a moot here at the school, and I was partnered with a local attorney. She and I started talking after the moot was finished, and she said something that has stuck with me ever since. I asked her what her least favorite part of being a lawyer was, and she said that every day it gives you a reason to quit. I think to many people, comments like that can come off as jaded or cynical. However, as her comment has stayed with me and I have reflected on it, I do not believe that it is in fact to be viewed in a negative light. It is a privilege that we would be so honored to engage in a life which is not easy. Everything worth doing in this life is not easy. And while the greatest adventures are not easy for us to take on, the company of classmates, friends, and family, also striving towards the same goal of achieving something extraordinary, can make a journey that is not easy significantly more so. And that is what the dual JD class of 2026 is all about. Today before you are 59 individuals who have all, in their own way, overcome obstacles and trials that would have caused lesser people to fall. Between the late nights working on assignments, crossing an international border multiple times a week, and all the while trying to keep our heads above water, we have experienced something together which very few understand. Every single graduate contributed meaningfully to our experience together, and the memories are endless. As all the graduates here know far too well, law school has a lot of research and writing. At times, it can be very taxing to find the correct words, to be direct yet artful, and to be compassionate yet uncompromising. And despite 3 years of experience, this speech was the most difficult thing I had to write in all of law school. I wanted to write and deliver a speech that was deserving of all of you. However, I concluded that was impossible, because while the written word is finite, the everyday greatness embodied by every single one of you is infinite. Every single person in this room did not quit, despite the multiple times that they could have. You could have quit your undergraduate degree. You could have quit studying for the LSAT. You could have quit when you were asked to move to a city that you had never lived in before. You could have quit when you concluded that you had to work a job so that you could afford to live during school. And you could have quit when you first got an assignment back from a professor that made you feel like you were not smart enough to be here after all. Quitting is easy. Millions of people do it on this planet every single day. Yet every single person here did not quit. So whatever your path looked like, be proud of it. You made it here. We have had incredible memories together. An earlier version of this speech was effectively me just going through some of my favorite stories from our time together. And although it required some editing, I think that being my initial feeling on the direction of this speech should tell you something about how I view you all as individuals and also as a collective. And with that, I want to end with a message regarding how I believe we ought to live our lives moving forward. Today is about your accomplishment, but tomorrow is about what you can do for other people. A friend recently said to me, "Kindness is so rare, it often feels like a scam." I want you to all remember that you have the power to change the world every single day. The most powerful impact you can have comes from how you treat people. Be nice to people, be uplifting to people, try to help people where you can. It is my experience that positivity begets positivity. I encourage you to take that same mindset, yes, to practice, but most importantly to all aspects of your life. The greatest thing that you can do with your life is not something that will ever be written about in a law journal or commented on by the Supreme Court. It is simply being a genuine force for positivity and optimism in the lives of the people around you. I ask you to support those around you so that your strength and resolve in never quitting through this journey encourages others to live their lives in a similar manner. The great Irish writer Edmund Burke once wrote, "Nobody made a greater mistake than he who did nothing because he could only do a little." Don't be afraid to make small impacts. It is often that which genuinely changes the world. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby and Philip. I invite Kristen Fernandez, class of 2019, and president of the School of Law's Alumni Association, to welcome today's graduates as alumni of the School of Law and University of Detroit Mercy.
Good afternoon to our esteemed faculty, graduates, family, and friends. My name is Kristen Fernandez. I'm a proud graduate of this school in 2019, and I honorably serve as the president of the Alumni Association. I also want to recognize the Association of Black Law Alumni, the ABLA, which is a wonderful and supportive network led by fellow president and my dear friend, Jessica Holmes. Together, the Alumni Association and the ABLA welcome all of you to our alumni community. Speaking to our graduates, it is a true honor to stand before you today to acknowledge and celebrate this monumental achievement, your graduation from law school. Law school takes you and it shapes you. During your time at Detroit Mercy Law, you've been tested intellectually, pushed to your limits, and stretched emotionally. There is no doubt that you spent countless hours studying statutes, dissecting the law, and honing your legal writing, research, and reasoning skills. This experience has helped you grow, not only as future attorneys, but as individuals who are wholly committed to justice, fairness, and integrity. Today, you are not only graduates of this law school, but you are also recognized as our newest and distinguished alumni. And in this moment, you become part of an alumni network that is dedicated to each of your successes and the success of our law school. As you face the world as a new attorney, know that you're not alone. You step into this new chapter of life as part of a much larger community of Detroit Mercy Law alumni. One of the most important roles as a seasoned alumni is for us to support you as our new alumni and to welcome you and include you in our community. Our hope is that you will join us in our efforts and turn to support, mentor, and fundraise for our law students in the future. We welcome and challenge you to serve as a mentor for a 1L law student as part of our mentorship program, as we know that you have much to offer the next generation of Detroit Mercy Law attorneys. Now, as we turn into the immediate future, for those of you who are preparing to take the bar exam, stay focused and be determined. Make sure that you schedule adequate time to study, but also take time for yourself to rest and recharge. It is a balance. I advise that you block out your study time, complete plenty of practice questions, never be afraid to ask for help, and know that you can pass this beast of a test. And even if it's not on your first try, know that you can and you will do this. The law school has wonderful resources to support you on this journey, so never suffer in silence. We all know that our world is vast and ever-changing, and the legal landscape is no different. It is constantly evolving, presenting new challenges, new questions, new problems, and new opportunities for us to rise to meet. Whether you decide to practice in the courtroom, the boardroom, or the classroom, and whether you take roles in public service or private practice, rest assured that your Detroit Mercy Law legal education has given you the tools you need to think critically, to act ethically, and advocate for justice for all people. It is the Detroit Mercy way. In recent times, the rule of law has faced serious and troubling challenges. As attorneys, you stand on the front line defending both the rights of others and the integrity of the law itself. So never underestimate or lose sight of the influence you carry and the power you have in having earned your Juris Doctor degree. Each of you has worked tirelessly to reach this milestone, and while it may sound cliche, it remains true. You have the ability to achieve anything that you set your sights on. With that said, Congratulations again to the class of 2026. I warmly welcome you, each of you, as Detroit Mercy Law alumni, and we do have a small gift for you under your chair. But with that, congratulations and go with kindness.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you all for celebrating the class of 2026 with us. This concludes the 2026 University of Detroit Mercy School of Law commencement ceremony. The recessional will be led by the president, the dean of the law school, trustees and vice presidents of the university, and our distinguished alumni. The faculty and administration of the school are asked to follow. The 2026 graduates follow the faculty marshals and exit through the northwest doors. Please remain seated until all the graduates leave Callahan Hall.